What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? How are we doing on this? I'm recording this on Monday because it's a podcast, but you're probably watching this on a Tuesday. And we know who is going to play Thursday night, opening up the NFL season, which, as we know, is the bread and butter for the league, the games. Eagles are taking on the Cowboys. And I have some thoughts on that matchup. We got an early line, DraftKings, -7. Long way to go. I mean, let's make it through training camp before we assess some injuries. But, if you like Philly big, I would imagine that place is going to be rocking, getting the celebration of the Super Bowl team. So, been to a few games at the Link. Would probably imagine that's going to be one of the more, as the kids would say, lit. I don't even, do the kids even say that anymore? Is that a millennial thing? Some stuff going on in Cincinnati. Their star pass rusher is not happy, and he let it be known to Schefter. Something bizarre happened at rookie minicamp, which I don't remember ever happening. Their first rounder, I'm pretty sure their second rounder too, but their first rounder, Shemar Stewart from Texas A&M, the pass rusher, did not participate. He just stood there and watched. So we will dive into that. A couple media things that I wanted to dive into. I think the NFL Network is done. It's not officially done, but it's unofficially headed toward sayonara and not even being around. We had a pretty big move today with their main host, and I would expect more to follow, as well as Michael Jordan getting back involved. I do want to touch on that because I love me some MJ. But before we dive in to anything football related, to anything Dallas Cowboys versus the Eagles, I do need to tell you about my friends, my partners in the official ticketing app of this. If you want to go to one of these NFL games, we are going to know the schedule. No, I think is it Wednesday or Thursday, the 14th, 15th? I don't know. I probably should look that up. It's this week. We're going to get the schedule. This game's starting to leak out a little left and right. Traeger threw something out there about Saturday, December 20th. I know some of you like to get ahead. Got to be a little careful now with some of the flexible scheduling. But for the most part, if you want to take a trip, go see your team in a venue, make a weekend trip out of it, we will know soon. Utilize Game Time. Their ability to search by team, their ability to search by venue, search by price point does not get any easier. I've used them all. Cannot recommend these guys enough, as well as NBA, hockey, Major League Baseball, obviously concerts and comedy shows. You guys know the drill. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code JOHN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code JOHN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. I'm recording this before the lottery, so interested to watch how that plays out. But it kind of hit me today. I was at the gym and I looked up and the shows are on. Even Coward was talking about it, from First Take to every show on FS1. They're leading their show with "Where is Giannis gonna go?" It's like, guys, this is the middle of the playoffs. This is the middle of the time when we should be talking about the games. But in basketball, the soap opera nature of stories like that dwarf anything on the court every single time. So honestly, when I looked, I wasn't that surprised. Very on brand. And the thing with the NFL, there is a soap opera nature. Hell, the Cowboys and the Eagles have thrown their hat in the ring over the years, playing a major, major part in that. But nothing ever trumps the games. The games are what pays the bills in the league. They are what drives our interest the most. What did Brian Schottenheimer do on 3rd and 8? What play did he call? Why did he waste a timeout? What is Sirianni doing? Why is so-and-so not in the game on a must-have play? Maybe it's Dallas Goedert. Maybe it's A.J. Brown on a goal line play in a tie game in the second half against the Cowboys. And that's just week one. I can't imagine the playoffs talking about anything but the games at hand. Obviously, coaching moves, and there is soap opera drama to the NFL. I'm not arguing or disputing that, but the games are always going to be the most important thing, and that's really separated the NFL. Is we care so much about these individual matchups. Like we already know who is playing every single opponent. We know that. We got that a long time ago. Hell, we got that when the season ended. You know the rotation year to year. You know wherever you finish, first, second, third, fourth place, where your schedule is based. No, the 49ers schedule, which is a joke, forever. Now, we don't know the dates in which the games are played, how many Monday night games you get, what is your Thursday night game. And we saw last year the good teams get multiple Thursday night games. But forever, the NFL has forever be strong. But I would say recently, over the last half plus decade, they have really tried to hammer home divisional games at the end of the season. And sometimes it's worked out brilliantly. We have gotten, last year's a good example. The Lions and the Vikings played the last game of the season. And it wasn't just for the division, it was for the number one seed. You can't get a better scenario. But you also get situations where it's like the Rams and the Niners are playing, and there's nothing on the line for either team. So you never know. And the hard part about the NFL schedule is, beside week one, as you go, we see so many injuries. I mean, look at last year. The Eagles played the Packers Friday night in Brazil, and Jordan Love got hurt. So Jordan Love, week two and week three, couldn't play. So, and some of these injuries happen in training camp. I would say less and less because of the nature of no double days. No one really plays in the preseason. But once the season starts, injuries have a major, major impact on who's playing, especially at quarterback. But I think the Cowboys are a good example. Obviously, when you win the Super Bowl, you're a lock to host that game on Thursday night. It's a cool moment. And typically, I mean, the Chiefs have won it the last couple of years. That team is going to be good. I would say it would take a catastrophe for the Philadelphia Eagles not to be in the playoffs. I honestly have struggled to see a scenario where they are not a playoff team. Now, quarterback injuries can have a dramatic impact, but their overall roster, even if their quarterback play was average, would still be pretty tough to beat given how dominant their running back is, how great their offensive line is, and how good their defense is going to be. Like, they are going to be a good team. But when it comes to the Cowboys, who for 3 straight seasons, or definitely the last 2 seasons, had been coming off 12-win years. So in 2023 and in 2024, the Eagles and the Cowboys had both established we're good teams. We are playoff 12, 13, 14-win contenders. Cowboys had been winning the division 2 of those 3 years, and the Eagles had been to a Super Bowl. Those 2 games, when they played, which are enormous moments for the league. Obviously, the Cowboys, I think you would, I don't even think it's an argument, are the biggest brand, especially if they're good, when it comes to television ratings. And the Eagles are in the mix, if they're good, as being one of the most important brands in the league. And they typically played the first or second, the 16th or 17th week, right? Whether that was the end of December or early January. And they've played sometime in November. Well, if you're the league office, you go, are we sure Dallas is going to be any good? Because I was thinking today, am I going to go? I picked Dallas to make the playoffs last year. I was obviously wrong. Though I think they would have been a little more competitive if Dak hadn't been injured. But Cooper Rush actually wasn't terrible, but the defensive injuries, regardless. I mean, they drafted 12th. So that one was a whiff. But ultimately, like the league's going, Brian Schottenheimer, Jerry's getting a little weird. If you were a betting man, are they more likely to win 7 games or 11 or 12 games? And I think the answer would be 7. So this game is really, really important because if they're both good, it does huge ratings. Well, week 1, you can't really screw it up. So you might as well utilize the Cowboys week 1. And I think that's why they did it. Because Peter Schrager tweeted out today that this has happened, right, in recent years, is the NFL plays Saturday games once the college football season ends and the bowl games start. Well, now with the playoffs, they did it last year. They play a couple Saturday games while the first round of the college football playoffs are going on. And Schrager tweeted out that the 2 games are going to be Packers versus the Bears, which is just an easy no-brainer game, regardless if the Bears don't live up to the hype. It'll be fine. And the Eagles playing Washington. I think 2 years ago, before Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn and Adam Peters showed up and Josh Harris bought the team, that's Eagles Cowboys. So Washington being good has enabled them to make this move because they can say whatever they want. I think this is a good indication of we don't know what Dallas is going to be. And even if Dallas is terrible, they're still not like this isn't the Jags and the Arizona Cardinals on television. They still move the needle and are a big brand for Fox, but this is the NFL, not the NBA. Right? If Giannis gets traded to San Antonio, it's a great story for everyone that talks about basketball to hammer home for the next couple months. But those games will not outrate Steph Curry on playing putt putt on ABC. I mean, that's just a reality. Where in the NFL, the Bills and the Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs, these are in tiny markets and they do 20, 25, 30 million people. Because if you're a good NFL team, we will watch. And I think now that Washington's good, it's just an easy replacement. So I think the treatment that the Cowboys have got these last several years, and they earned it because they were a playoff 12 plus win team. Washington is going to get that treatment now. And that's why they utilized the Cowboys week one. And I do think, the NFL is praying the Bears are going to be good. And I think we will see that with the television setup come here in a couple days. They gave the treatment a little bit to the Jets. And I think Rodgers went on record last year of like, he was kind of told that the Jets and himself owed the league one because they had put him on the primetime games. Then he torn his Achilles. I think the league would love for the Bears to be good. I mean, the market's massive, the brand's big. Obviously, their team's talented, but sometimes you just never know. Where I think that's what's fascinating about the schedule in general is the league makes a couple bets, right? And I would imagine the Bears are going to be one of those. For the most part, you don't really have to do it, right? And we'll find out, like, if Aaron Rodgers haven't signed, how they treat the Steelers. Now, you probably treat the Steelers like always. Give them primetime games. They're one of the biggest brands in the league. And at the end of the day, even if they don't live up to uh, the hype that everyone that follows the team wishes they would, they're still going to win 9 or 10 games and be very competitive, and they never really let you down. But there are always some franchises that you go in on. The 49ers were one of those teams, right? They got the max amount of slots, and they had earned it because they had been a Super Bowl team. And then all of a sudden, McCaffrey's injured, team's not as good, and they're playing in primetime games losing. So just it's not an easy job, and I think a lot of people hype it up as like, oh, this is easy. I don't know. I think the schedule thing, a lot of moving parts and just a lot of unknowns. But I think the Eagles Cowboys that's a fantastic start, and then Chargers Chiefs in Brazil on Friday night is really cool as well. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. Can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through the finals. Now, the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, DraftKings has been your go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will Curry drop 30? Will LeBron drop 40 or more? It's your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, lock in your bets, and let's make the playoff run unforgettable. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. One of the big stories over the last 24 hours has been the Cincinnati Bengals. And I got to throw a red flag on one situation, and I got to say, I'm going to support them in another. And I think two things that have happened over the last couple days is Trey Hendrickson basically went on record with Adam Schefter today, discussing his displeasure that no one has talked to him since the draft. There have been no communications on a new contract. That sounds kind of crazy when you read the headline and you realize the draft was like 2.5 weeks ago. It's like we're acting like this was 4 months ago. I don't think it's that crazy. We're focused on the draft and we're focused on getting the guys in. I don't think that's the craziest thing, and we'll dive into that in a second. But the bigger story was the Bengals first round pick Shemar Stewart, the really physically gifted player from Texas A&M, athletic freak, didn't really produce at the level of his athleticism, but was drafted 17th overall, and pretty intriguing draft pick. It's either kind of a boom or bust. Feels like they're swinging for the fences. Don't hate it, don't love it, uh, understand it. At pick 17, don't hate it. He did not practice this week at rookie minicamp, which is kind of crazy given that everyone practices if they're healthy. He just stood there and watched. So, like, given that this is a borderline unprecedented situation, I had to do some digging. There was an article today in the Cincinnati Enquirer that one of the issues, because I thought one of the reasons all these guys practice, not because most of them have their rookie deal signed before rookie minicamp. They do not. They typically get an injury waiver. So if something catastrophic were to happen, they would be covered. And the reality is the type of practice that you have now at these rookie minicamps is a joke. I mean, OTAs in general is nowhere near what it used to be, and the majority of this stuff is walk-through mental stuff. The chances of people getting hurt now are very, very slim. Still football, still definitely a risk, and at any moment someone could fall on you, things that are out of your control. So it's like there is some understanding of a risk that you are taking. Now, the issue that the Inquirer reported was everything is slotted now, right? I just read that the Seattle Seahawks have signed the North Dakota State guard, who was the 18th overall pick. So you are seeing rookies sign left and right. What are you really arguing over? You can't argue over dates in which bonuses are paid, right? I give you a signing bonus, how we prorate that, how it's paid, the percentage in which it's paid, and injury guarantees has been an issue somewhat that teams have butted heads on. Well, Cincinnati, I guess, had offered Stewart a lower percentage than Dallas Turner got in the same slot last year from the Vikings. So he's like, at most, we should just be on par with that. There is a precedent set. So while I will get into defending Cincinnati a little bit when it comes to Trey, this one feels like, listen, part of the negotiation should be a little back and forth. There shouldn't really be any with this. This should be pretty black and white. Like, what are we doing? It's one thing to lowball a player that's a free agent because he's highballing you and you end up meeting in the middle. Is highball even a term? You know what I mean. He comes in low, I come in high, and we eventually know we're going to meet in the middle, right? You list your house overpriced for $1 million. I come in at 850. I know we're going to end up meeting at 928 and be cool with it. I know you'll take it. Your agent's already told my agent. They're like, listen, if you can just get close to the 950 number, I said, listen, I'll come up a little before 9, but we're going to meet in the middle. That's not what this is. These things are slotted. In Cincinnati, like, I think sometimes when you get a negative, there's like a narrative or a talking point about you as a human being, as a company, as a franchise, it's hard to shake that, right? And I would say when people think about Cincinnati, their first reaction is somewhat negative. It's like, kind of a low-level franchise. So when this story comes out, it's easy for everyone to pile on them. Where if you're a high-level franchise, like if I had told you that Howie Roseman or Les Snead was in a standoff about a situation like this, those guys would get the benefit of the doubt. You'd be like, what's up with that fucking agent? And here's the reality of agents. The agent of the player does not give a shit about the team. That is not his job. I think sometimes they overhype, like, I love my guys, I love my relation. No, you're in the business of getting your 2, 5, whatever your points are on the deal to make money so that your 17-year-old drives a Mercedes as well. Like, this is a business. Let's not get it twisted. You can say it's a human business, and it is. You're representing players, but you wouldn't be doing this. You're not doing this for charity here. You're doing it because there's a lot of money on the line, and ideally you're buying in early to get that second contract and really go cha-ching. So like the objective of the agent and the objective of the team are never going to be the same. The team only cares about doing what's best short and long term for the franchise and trying to win. The agent just does not give a shit. The player he represents might, but the agent does not. But in a situation like this, like I'm sorry, bad look for the Bengals. Also just bizarre. Like of course this happens to the Bengals. Interested in investing in Bitcoin, but not sure how to get started? With the Gemini credit card, you can dip your toes into Bitcoin without even trying. Just spend like you normally do groceries, gas, or even a night out, and instantly earn up to 4% back in Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos straight to your account with no annual fee. The Gemini credit card is a no brainer. And right now, you can grab a $200 Bitcoin intro bonus. Go to Gemini.com/card to learn more and start earning today. Terms apply. Again, go to Gemini.com/card and start building your Bitcoin stash today. Terms apply. The Gemini credit card is issued by WebBank. In order to qualify for the intro $200 crypto bonus, your application must be approved by June 30th, 2025, and spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. Terms apply. Some exclusions apply to instant rewards, in which rewards are deposited when the transaction posts. This content is not investment advice, and trading crypto involves risk. For more details on rates, fees, and other Gemini credit card terms, see rates and fees. Now, the Trey Hendrickson thing is a little, I would say there's a little more gray area. He's 30 years old, will be 31. Just had a career 2 years where he had 35 sacks. Would you be in the business of giving $100+ million to a guy that broke out in his career at 29 and 30 years old? Because I don't know, I might struggle with that. Like, it'd be one thing, it's like, hey, man, you could get me for 2 years and $60 million. I don't think he's signing that contract. He's looking at Max Crosby. He's looking at Myles Garrett. Like, he wants a long-term, huge deal. And while they just signed their 2 wide receivers, those guys are younger players. Trey Hendrickson was not a guy they drafted. He was a guy they got because it did not work out for him in his first stop. And part of that was injuries. Part of that was just figuring out how to become a pass rusher. And he's come into his own, and he's been an excellent, dominant player. But I do understand if I ran the organization, and I think this is how it would be if the Ravens ran it, if the Eagles ran it, if the Chiefs ran it. This isn't just a no-brainer. Here, Trey, here's your blank check. And I think for him, and I saw J.J. Watt tweeting like, of course, they told him, have another big year and then we'll take care of you. Yeah, this guy's his business. This is one of those things that it's a little more complicated than just give him a bunch of money. Like ultimately, T. Higgins is getting a lot of money no matter what. The Bengals just had to decide, like, are we going to invest a lot of money in 2 players at the same position? This is one of those where even good teams would be like, yeah, we're going to hesitate on giving an older player that much money. Now, maybe he goes on to have 3 more years, no injuries, kicks ass, and you look back and go, God, it was a no-brainer. But what if, like, you're a year and a half in, you're like, God, he's already banged up again? Because he was early on in his career. So I think it's easy for him to come out and kind of paint the Bengals as the bad guy, and no one is going to defend them because of what's going on with their rookie. But I do think this situation's a little more complicated. And they're going, you're not a free agent. It's not like we're franchising you. You're on a contract for $15 million. Like we've already, now listen, their owner's daughter had made some comments a while back that not the way I would do business. But I also think Trey coming out like this, I don't think that's helping his cause either. So I think this is just a more complicated situation. And it's easy for every swinging dick on television that played in the league to go like, he's getting screwed. He is getting fucking railroaded. And that's going to be the majority of shows you're going to turn it on. And listen, is he underpaid if they make him play at $15 million? 1,000%. But like, what's he looking for? What deal would he be willing to sign? Because if he goes Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, I got to say, no, dog, not for me. And the problem is, if you're the Bengals, like, what's his market? Does he have a lot of teams? I know a lot of Lions fans hit me up like, when are we going to do something big? Like, what are the Lions going to trade a first round pick and give them $100 million? No chance. So, because that would be crazy business. The Rams, maybe they get back to their roots. They got two first round picks. You never know. But I don't think that one is as like black and white, right and wrong, judging each side as I feel like it's made out to be on the interweb. A couple other quick things. Rich Eisen is going back to ESPN, uh, which I don't spend too much time on media news, but that's interesting because Rich Eisen hosts the NFL draft, hosts Sunday football for the NFL network, and hosts the combine. Kind of an important cog in the NFL network. A month plus ago, Peter Schrager, I would say one of the bigger NFL network personalities, also left. There have been rumors for well over a year now that the NFL network is in major trouble and the NFL would gladly get rid of it. A year ago, they moved Good Morning Football, maybe even a little less, from New York to LA. Everyone's like, why'd you do that? It's like, why are we paying this enormous studio fee when we have a free one that we're already paying for in Los Angeles? They want to get rid of this. It is not making any money. They want out of this business. It is not worth it for them. And I think Peter Schrager and Rich Eisen bouncing tells you everything you need to know. My guess is, and he's a friend of mine, and I think it's a no-brainer. Listen, Mel is coming down the home stretch. He's had a hell of a run. And I'm not some Mel hater. I know he became I don't even want to say controversial figure, but, him going nuts about Shador Sanders. Like, that's Mel's job. Like, he's been doing this for a long time. Like, it would not surprise me at all if Daniel Jeremiah is next. And I think the NFL Network, if you tell me that it does not exist in a year, because even if the ESPN quote unquote buys it, they're just going to run everything through ESPN. People do not watch NFL Network. And the other thing that I saw today is that NBC is going to hire Michael Jordan. They didn't really, I haven't quite figured out exactly what he's going to do. It's not like he's going to be calling games. Maybe he shows up and makes some special appearances. Call me old school, but I'm kind of a sucker for mysterious celebrities, really famous people. Part of social media, which I think it's directly impacted the death of legacy media. Like, we just know too much about these people and what they think about every issue. Like, I don't need to know that. One thing I feel healthier about in my life, I spend way less time on Twitter. It's like, why do I need to know what every newspaper writer thinks about every situation in this world? And newsflash, I don't. And I'm healthier for reading less of it. And I think part of what makes Michael Jordan so special is we don't know that much about him. And I think we have seen, and listen, I worked at a radio station where the guy that ran it got a hard on for famous people. He would do anything to get a big name on the radio station. And sometimes, if they were a good radio interview, it was really good. But just because the guy was famous, if it was terrible radio, which if it was really terrible, it would also be good. But there was a lot of like, this is unlistenable. And I think historically, you see with television, they have the same mindset. Let's get the most famous guy possible involved in our sport. And we've seen it in football over the years. Jerry Rice. I don't remember this, but Joe Montana was on TV. Obviously, he did not go well. Emmitt Smith. We've seen it over and over. It's why Greg Olson, like, talent's talent. Pat McAfee was a punter. You know how many people involved in pro sports be like, I could do that? It's like, no, you couldn't. No one would watch you after a while. You're not entertaining. And I think we've seen it with Magic Johnson, who just not that great on television. And I do wonder if Michael Jordan, now listen, if Michael would talk like he's had a couple cocktails and letting it fly, he'd be good. I just don't know if we're getting that guy. Listen, Tom Brady, to a man, every single human that's ever played with him swears by the guy. It's like he could balance this dude's dude, super famous. People loved him. It's like he's just one of the guys. I'd say they said the same thing about Peyton Manning. And Peyton just refused to go all in. He kept it, light with Eli. But Tom then started doing the television stuff and calling games. And you're like, where's the Tom that we've heard about? And he struggled because he's like, He's got the PR team. It's just hard, which I will defend him. I understand it's hard to be the guy that like a borderline F word could come out of your mouth, every sentence. So there's this balance of, but then you become too corporate and you're like, show some personality. And I think Michael, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to fail. I idolized as a kid Michael Jordan. If you were my age, I don't care if you lived in Seattle, if you lived in Florida, if you lived in Davis, California, you had some sort of Bulls apparel. I had a pair of shorts and I had the jersey, as well as a poster signed by Michael Jordan that's in my closet right now. It's one of my prized possessions, and I don't really care that much about that type of stuff. I also have a Jack Nicklaus sign to John. Jack Nicklaus, best of luck. Like basically wrote me this thing because my dad had fished with this guy who then was buddies with Jack and fished with him. My mom put in front of the sun, and over the course of like a decade when I was a kid, it disappeared. So now it's just a picture of Jack. You can't even see the writing. Can't say the same about Michael. Still looks good. Best wishes, Michael Jordan. Uh, but I don't know. I would tend to lean. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. Then it's going to be a lot of hype and not much substance behind it. Okay, let's end on this. Welcome to Chasing Challenges, brought to you by Microsoft. In the NFL, just like in the business world, overcoming obstacles is key to success. Microsoft empowers business decision makers with AI solutions, simplified cloud and data management, and trustworthy, reasonable technology to turn challenges into opportunities. In this segment, we explore some of the biggest challenges being faced in the NFL and how they can be overcome. Whatever challenge you're facing, Microsoft empowers you with the expertise to say, bring it on. This week, we're discussing the challenge faced by the New Orleans Saints. Their quarterback, which obviously was a weird situation, but he'd been their starter the last couple years, retires. They have a couple guys on the roster before the draft named Jake Haener, who they drafted in the mid rounds, who was essentially beat out the last year by Spencer Rattler, who they drafted, I think, in the third round. And then they draft Tyler Shuck here in the second round. And I think Kellen Moore said or kind of leaked out that we're just going to have an open competition. To me, I think the move's pretty simple because I think if you're the Saints, you either need to do two things. One, you just need to suck so you are in position to have the number one overall pick and draft a quarterback and change your franchise and get out of this quarterback purgatory situation that just forced you to give over $70 million guaranteed a couple years ago to Derek Carr. Or, even if you're not as good, Tyler Shuck should get every rep. Tyler Shuck should play every game as long as he's physically able and just find out, do we have anything here? Can this guy, does he show enough to go, hey, we're drafting fourth? We're not going to take a quarterback. We're going to believe in this guy for the next couple of years. We're going to give this guy an opportunity. We're going to invest in this player. But those are your only two options now. So to me, maybe it's just politically correct and you got to do it for the morale of your locker room. But the only thing internally they should be thinking about is Tyler Shuck's going to be our starting quarterback. And we're going to learn one way or another, is this guy good enough moving forward? Can this guy be at least our long-term starting quarterback over the course of his rookie contract? If we build up a good team around him, can we compete with this guy? Because if we can't, the only thing that matters then is losing to put us in a position, kind of like the Titans, to get a Cam Ward and then pivot moving forward. Now, not ideal. They would have drafted quarterbacks in the last 3 years, in the fifth, in the third, and in the second round. But listen, if you don't have one, no one will fault you for drafting another one. So if I'm the Saints, this is going to be a weird year. You don't have much experience in your quarterback room. You have a first-year head coach who's a younger guy. You got Brandon Staley coaching defense. Who knows what's going on there? But there should be one goal and one goal only. Figure out the quarterback position. Is the kid good enough? Not even a kid. He's like 30 years old. You know what I mean? Can we play with this guy going forward? We saw Andy Dalton drafted in the second round, was a starting quarterback for a while. The Raiders drafted Derek Carr in the second round, was a starting quarterback for 9 years. Jimmy Garoppolo, listen, if you did a good enough job building up around the team, could be a solid starting quarterback. Can he be a player like that? Because if he can't, then the goal should be to lose and be in position to draft one. That's it for this week's Chasing Challenges. Remember, Microsoft's AI solutions empower you to take bold steps and make informed decisions, sparking new ideas to help drive your business forward. With Microsoft as your trusted partner, you can navigate your journey with confidence, finding innovative solutions and reaching new possibilities. Visit Microsoft.com/challengers to learn more.